Hey, welcome to Fitzdog Radio. How are you today? I hope you're having today's Monday that I'm recording this, the 13th of May. It will come out tomorrow. Just had a great interview with Andy Richter, who I love, old dear friend, been on the show many times. So that'll be out in a few weeks. And then I got some great ones coming up. I got Paul Verzi, Rachel Feinstein, Harlan Williams. How about Tim Robbins? Tim Robbins is coming up. So don't forget, like it on Apple Podcasts, like it, leave comments on YouTube, and, you know, do all that stuff. Support the show. It's important to keep growing it. Happy Mother's Day to the moms who, I don't know, or it's a hard job being a mom. My mom, she did a great job. She wasn't given a lot of tools, but she was given a sense of humor. And I think that she gave that to us. That was her greatest gift to us. My mom, just biting, funny, silly, and great, you know, just, I think our house was a lot of laughter, and she was behind a lot of it. Great storyteller. And my wife is so different. Not that she's not funny. She is funny, but in a totally different way. And we had a nice day yesterday. We got up. I ran out and got some bagels and lox, and then we went to see a movie. It's called... What's it called? It's about a stuntman with the good-looking guy in it. Who's the guy in it? Jesus Christ. My brain is mush today. Mush! I shouldn't do podcasts on Mondays. What's the movie? Hold on, I'm looking it up right now. Is it Ryan Reynolds? I think it's Ryan Reynolds was in it. It was about a stuntman. Ryan Reynolds movie. No, not Ryan Reynolds. Jojo, what was that movie we saw yesterday? She's not listening. By the way, Jojo is now working as an intern at the Green Dogs. No, what's it called? The Green Lab Studios in Hollywood. She's working on the podcast, learning how to mix and switch and download and transfer and all that stuff. It's a green screen studio, so she's learned a bunch of cool shit. I love having her there. It's so much fun. I have to kind of watch what I'm saying a little bit. You'll notice the interviews are a little less vulgar than usual. Maybe. Bomb the other night. Thursday night, I went to the Comedy Store. And, you know, it was the comedy festival, so it was very distracting. There was just comedians everywhere. You walk in and there's fucking, you know, John Mulaney and Nick Kroll and Leslie Jones and fucking Spade. Everybody big is hanging out. And you're trying to get to the stage. People are saying hello. I'm distracted. And I went up and my head was not right. And I was trying to do all new stuff. And Adam Egget was in the back, the guy that used to book the store, who's a dear friend, who now books Rogan's Club in Austin. He was in town for the festival, and he saw me bomb. And there's nothing he enjoys more than watching me bomb, which it doesn't happen often. I don't bomb. It's very rare that I bomb. So when it does, it fucking stings. There's part of it that I enjoy. There's something surreal, almost like, you know, in The Graduate where Dustin Hoffman just lets go in the pool like he's drowning. That's what it feels like. Sometimes the bomb is so profound that you don't even fight back. You just kind of sit in it and you look around and you're like, yeah, this is happening. This is not how it usually goes. So anyway, I finished the set. I get off stage. My last line was, well, tonight you guys won. And I walk off and I walk to the back and Egget holds his phone up to my ear and it was this sound effect. Which made me laugh for a solid 10 minutes. Anyway, we got some news about him coming up soon. What else is going on? I'm going to, I did a show Friday night up in Malibu at a vineyard for a bunch of millionaires. And it's so weird when you look at the whole audience is white and good looking and rich. Like the parking lot was just filled with BMWs and Teslas and fucking Rolls Royces. And so I said to them, I go, this is crazy because last night I did a show in East LA in La Habra. It was all Latino. And now I'm here tonight. It's so the women are so different. Like last night, they had fake jewelry and real tits. And that didn't go over well. That was not the best way to open the show. Rich people do not always have a great sense of humor about themselves. Somewhat. I turned that one around, though, because that was the night after the bomb. You will never do a better set than the night after you bomb. It's like you just fucking dig in. It's like watch the New York Knicks and this next game against the Pacers because they got beat by 40 points last night. It was ugly. And I would put every dollar I have that the Knicks win the next game. That's how it works in life. Your second marriage sometimes is better than the first, right? You spring back. I got some dates coming up. I'll be in Mamaroneck at the Emmeline Theater on May 31st. Come on out. Local show. That's where I grew up, not far from there. Escondido at the Grand Comedy Club June 7th and 8th. And Pittsburgh at the WDVE Festival June 21st. I'm also coming to Buffalo, New York. I got to put that date in. I'm doing a date with Bert Kreischer. So that's going to be its own festival of sorts. Short intro today. I want to get right to it because I love this guest so much. He's my neighbor. I've known him for many years. He's one of the most working actors. He's just very skilled. He's been in multiple long-running sitcoms, including The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel that he's been in forever. A Few Good Men, Grumpy Old Men, The Usual Suspects, Casino, End of Days, The Wedding Planner, Whole Nine Yards, Miami Rhapsody. He's also like a big poker player, and I think he hosted the Celebrity Poker Showdown, one of those shows. And just so happy to have him back on. He's such a great hang, such a good dude. Here is my interview with the great Kevin Pollak. Ladies and gentlemen, my guest today, it's so weird how it works, but, actors get to a certain age, and I guess they start looking for outlets that they would have never thought about before. This next guy's won multiple Oscars.
Have I?
He was in The Godfather.
Multiple.
Scent of a Woman.
Who?
A Few Good Men.
What?
Huh? Al Pacino, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. I am so honored that you're a Scarface.
I gotta say, first of all, I need a few more things on the table in front of me. There's not enough props.
Right.
When I work these days, now, I will say to the prop person, I need 4 more things. Whatever you put in front of me, I need 4 more things. It's not enough. I gotta be touching. I gotta be moving. Things are constantly happening. Hello, how are you?
Have you thought about playing poker? That seems like something you could really use your hands on a lot.
Chips. I could shuffle chips. That's what I could do. I could do that.
And
how many chips can you get at once?
And what is going on with you? You're having some kind of a beef with Taylor Swift? What is that all about?
I don't know if it's a beef so much as a misunderstanding. She's young, right?
Yeah.
How old is she?
She's 21.
No.
Yeah, I think she's probably 29.
Right. And there's a chasm between her age and mine. I would say, safely.
But isn't there a chasm between you and your wife right now?
What's your point? Also, what year did I become an old black blues player?
Really? I never thought about that, Al. You do sound a little bit like that.
It sounds like I've been singing for a long time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how that happened.
From Louisiana,
But
perhaps.
it did, clearly. Something happened.
Did you ever do any singing in any of your films?
Sure. I must have, right? At some point, Francis. Maybe. I don't remember.
Yeah.
There's so much, Timmy, that I don't remember.
It's Greg Fitzsimmons.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's important you remember.
Yeah.
I don't.
Now, when you did Scarface, was any of that cocaine real? Because it seemed like nobody could get into that intense of a character.
We're going back. We're going back. I will tell you one funny story about Scarface that maybe people don't know. When I got into that jacuzzi hot tub, I said it wasn't big enough. I said, this is comically large, but we got to go bigger. We got to get past the funny and into, we got to go to, oh no. I think, in order for this to work.
No, the funniest part of that scene to me was when you're sitting there and you're looking at flamingos.
Right.
And you, with a cigar in your mouth and champagne in your hand, said, "Fly pelicans."
Yeah, and so the question there was, did he not, the character, did he not know what pelicans were versus flamingos? You know.
Yeah.
Did he know the difference?
Yeah, right.
I still don't have an answer.
Or did you not know? So you're wondering whether or not you at that time.
Oh no, I'm in character.
Right.
I'm always in character.
Whatever film you're in, you stay in character.
When there's a camera rolling, these aren't rolling, right?
No.
Okay.
They don't roll anymore. They're digital. They just record onto
digital.
Yeah.
In the old days, the camera could only roll for 10 minutes.
Uh-huh.
You know that, right?
Yeah, I've heard that.
A two-reeler in the old days was 2 reels, 20 minutes. That's how you can remember every reel of 35 millimeters 10 minutes old.
Yeah. Ah.
I'm not comfortable unless I'm touching this.
Yeah, I noticed that.
I got props. I don't know if you've seen the latest picture I did with Michael Keaton. He's good. But I clearly love my props.
What was the Michael Keaton film? I think I missed that one.
These are good questions. Matt, something.
Well, Al, you've got a young wife.
Here's
is
the thing. Here's the thing about her. So I realized at some point I was out of RAM space, right?
Yeah.
So I needed someone I could download my memories
I see.
and stories into.
Right.
There she is.
Yeah.
So I'll say, honey, that place that we went to with the thing, and she'll know what I'm talking about. She's fantastic.
So it'll be like Veep, where Tony Hale is standing behind Julie Louise. I love that.
I don't know what that means.
Have you seen Veep?
What are you saying?
I hope you can keep up with this wife. I mean, I know she's beautiful and I know she's young, but I mean, is she going to get frustrated with you not being cognizant?
No, I think we started that way.
Yeah.
I always believe you got to lower the bar.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I made it clear by forgetting a name on the first date 4 times. While we were talking, I could not remember who I was talking to. And I think she got the idea that even the worst prenup is better than nothing.
Can I ask a personal question? How is her ass?
I'm an open book. Well, I don't know if I'm too old to be canceled. But you could bounce a quarter off it and it would break glass. The quarter. Post bounce. Through glass.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
So would you say she has a great ass?
You know, I think I know what you're referencing. And
if she was here, I would ask her to remind you of the line.
Right.
Yeah.
In that scene, I'm yelling at this wonderful actor, Angus Ariel. And he says, off camera, in the take, "Oh, Jesus." After I yell big ass. You could hear it next time you watch it. He's off camera. And Michael Mann kept it in.
That's great.
Kept in his character saying, "Oh, Jesus." True story. That I remember.
She's got a great ass.
True.
Yeah.
Hank Azaria really did do that, by the way. He was in the scene with him
that.
and said, "Oh, Jesus."
Yeah.
Not improvising.
Yeah.
He was off camera, so
Yeah.
he just spoke from his heart. When he said, and it's still in the film, "Oh, Jesus."
Yeah. So thank you for making it here today. I know it is April Fool's Day, and I gave you the wrong address.
Which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah.
But then I thought, man, he did not mean to do that.
No, I sent you to a dress store.
A dance
studio.
store.
Yes.
I'm sure they sell shit.
They do. We had Pete Holmes was in here recently, and then he brought his daughter in, who's about 5, and then we went downstairs, and they gave her a little dress, a little dance dress.
What the hell?
Yeah.
So I could look forward to that.
Yes.
All right.
You're a girl's extra large.
When did you move into this situation? Because last time I saw you, and the last many times,
yes,
you were 4 minutes from my home, which I really preferred.
Yep.
And it was not the big setup with the thing.
This will not be a deal breaker in the future that you have to commute this far, is it?
Well, it's a combination, really, of the distance.
Yep.
No, the distance is nothing.
Right.
How about when you meet people who you really like at a gathering, some sort of social gathering,
right.
And where do you guys live? You say to the couple, "We live in Eagle Rock." As someone who lives in Mar Vista, I'll say, "Okay, we will never see you."
That's right.
You might as well have said Colorado.
Yeah.
Yep.
You might have said we're visiting from out of town. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, the demarcation mark for me is the 405. I don't go east of the 405 because last night I had a Easter dinner at the house and my guests walked to my house.
Yeah, there you go.
And then I have a poker night and I walk to my friend's house.
Oh.
On the weekends, I do not get in my car. It's just a little community of people.
Let's I want to talk more about the Easter dinner.
Yeah.
But let's cover this a little more thoroughly because I started to talk about it before we went
right
live-ish, and you said, "Well, let's talk about this on the show." So I did a thing for 10 years called the Kevin Pollak Chat Show.
It was amazing.
You were
a
guest.
A great chat show.
Several episodes technically still on YouTube. And it was a slightly larger round table. I more ripped off Charlie. I would tell people it's like Charlie Rose without all the handsy.
Mm-hmm. Little Larry King mixed in.
Yes, but I just mean the round wooden table.
Right.
And the black backdrop where the cameras are sort of less evasive. This is right up in it.
I think the one under the table is a bit much. The Basic Instinct camera, we call that one.
Yeah. So this was 2009 when I started doing Kevin Pollak's Chat Show, and there was less than 50 podcasts on Apple. They hadn't even created the podcast app, clearly. It was just Apple. Yeah.
Right.
You had to explain to people what a podcast was.
Yeah.
Right? We got up to 1 million downloads a month. A month, not a week. As one of my crew told me, because I wasn't tapped in at all on looking up the analytics. And it was so early that I said, there's how is it that this is the only thing on Apple that doesn't charge?
Yes. Or pay.
But doesn't charge the consumer.
Right.
And this was before much sponsors, even before stamps.com.
Or who
were one of the first.
Stamps were in there, and there was a lot of attention to erectile dysfunction in those early days.
Sure. Yeah. Right, because you could only get,
because it was all male listeners.
Right. So we, you know, 1 million downloads a month. I said, all right, well, what if it's like $1 a month?
Yeah.
$1 a month to 1 million people. This could be great. So I went on the show in the opening comments and said, all right, so we're going to do this thing because you pay for music, you pay for movies, you pay for TV shows, you pay for all the things available on Apple. But this seems odd. I have a crew here. This seems odd that no one's...
You're losing money while 1 million people are being entertained.
Yeah, and this was before sponsors and ad reads and anything else. So I said, next week I'm going to flip the switch. I flipped the switch, and all the lemmings went off the cliff.
No kidding.
Down to, I'm exaggerating for comedic purposes, 1 million a month down to 14.
14, yeah.
It was unbelievable.
Was it Patreon? Did you put it behind a paywall? Like
so
Patreon?
Far behind before Patreon or the term paywall.
Okay.
I'm telling you, this was early days.
Yeah.
In fact, I went to the two biggest at the time were Kevin Smith and maybe Chris Hardwick, and I said, this is before Mark Maron. I said, do you guys want to join me in this effort? I think, there's power in numbers. And they said, no, I use it to promote live appearances.
Right.
So I was stupid, foolish doing movies and stuff at the time. So I think I missed out on creating this cottage industry out of my own thing.
You had
because
it.
I was busy.
You were so far ahead of the game.
Doing
those numbers are as big as anybody's were.
Oh, you'd kill
time.
for it now, sure. But again, there was no competition, really,
right?
Really, yeah. This was had to have been pre Joe Rogan, right? 2009, had to have been.
It's about to. Yeah, I think Rogan was more like 11 or 12.
Yeah.
You were pre. I've done. I started in, I want to say, 2000.
But you were radio, right? Off of.
Well, I had Stern gave me a show for 10 years on his channel, and then I started doing a thing where I'd get somebody like you in, and I'd be like, after an hour, it'd be like, we're just warming up.
Yeah.
And my producer said, let's keep rolling, and we'll put it out as a podcast. I'm like, we're not gardeners. That's the only thing podcasts were back then was like, how to, people quilting or gardening.
Yeah.
And so he's like, no, people are starting to do it. So we started doing that. And then the Stern show ended, and
I'm going to choose to see you. Oh, there you are.
We just go, hey, now.
Hey, how's it going?
And so we just kept on going, and we did 2 a week for many years.
Yeah.
And now we're down to 1 a week. But then I do 2 other podcasts. I do one with, do you know Mike Gibbons, my buddy?
Sure.
Yeah. So he and I do the Sunday Papers, which is like a review of the news every week.
Great.
And then I do Childish with Allison Rosen, where she has babies and I have grown kids, one of whom you just met today.
I did.
And I'm trying to explain parenting to her, and she's not really buying it.
Or, much different. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we had 5 cameras and a crew, and
damn.
And I would pay them a stipend of $100 each. Sorry if you guys are getting much less than that. Don't, we can talk afterwards. And eventually, it was stamps.com and Squarespace and all the other.
So you were making money?
No, I would eventually just do enough because after I made the announcement and hit the switch and said everyone has to pay $1 a month. And the entire audience said, there's 40 other podcasts I could be listening to.
Right.
Not over 4 million as there are now.
Yeah.
There were 40 others. So it took quite a while to get people to come back. And 2 weeks later, I turned off the switch and we went free again.
Oh, it was an experiment.
Oh, I caved instantly.
Okay.
Because I was like, okay, I was wrong.
I see where I stand.
No one has, there's no rule book yet for this thing.
Yeah.
And there's no advice to be given to receive in terms of, how to pay my crew. Right?
Yeah.
So, and then eventually people started.
But also for you, I mean, Jesus, I think you've done over 80 movies.
I don't know the exact number, 91, but I do know that 6 of them are quite good. I only know because of the internet.
But I mean, and TV shows where you're not just guest appearances, but you've been a lead. And
I did not know about this TV thing until I started doing the Maisel 6 years ago.
Yeah.
The Maisel program. In terms of, this is what I should have been doing all along, this television thing.
Wait, I thought you were in Mom before that, weren't you?
Yeah, but that was like a guest star that became like a reoccurring. I mean, there were opportunities along the way to star in television shows.
Right, but you...
And it was the 90s, and as my better half Jamie will point out, I was very big in the 90s.
Yes, you were.
She loves to yell that at me in front of people. Yeah.
It was you, and it was Dolph Lundgren was huge.
No, but so the thing was, that's when people were, I was a character actor who was working too much because I came from stand-up comedy.
Right.
And as a stand-up comedian, when they offer you stage time, the answer is yes.
Uh-huh.
What time? So after A Few Good Men in 92, it went from auditioning to getting offers. And then once the offers started coming in, I still had the brain.
Know that you no longer have to audition. They just call your agent. And
since 92, I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's a bizarro world difference.
Right.
So when it first happened, no audition. I'd already auditioned 200 times.
Yeah.
Or more.
Right.
Before anyone said yes.
Yeah.
So when they flipped the switch in 92 and it was offers, I was a girl who couldn't say no. I mean, it was just, where do you need me? Where do I go? There was no curating one's career.
Right.
But in the throes of that, I mean, I did, I promise you, turn down a couple things. But
I want to ask you that. What are the things, you must be asked this all the time because you have been offered so many things. What's one that you turned down?
There was never one that I turned down that I regret, to be honest with you. I mean, like Monk came across my purview as a pilot script, but Monk was just a script, right? Not the incredible show that Tony Shalhoub made it.
Yeah.
And the character on paper was very Tony Randall from The Odd Couple. He was very persnickety.
Yeah.
Very, one note, really.
Yeah.
But on paper, wildly annoying to everyone around him.
Yeah.
And also USA, the network it was on, was not a network. It was transitioning from movies.
Sports and reruns.
Yeah.
Late night, like a sorority girl having a car wash. Shows. Yeah.
Right. But no series television. So that was a big consideration. Mm-hmm. And then it was the mid-90s when I was in the throes of doing all these movies.
Right.
So to step away from that and do a TV show where I wasn't terribly fond of the character, you have to sign up for 5 years minimum when you're doing the pilot.
Which means you can't do movies at that point. Or
yeah,
you sneak one in
and on a
summer.
network that may not even survive.
Mm-hmm.
It was no on a lot of levels.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say they came to me and offered me the show before they went to Tony Shalhoub. I mean, it just came across my desk during the process of them figuring out what they wanted to do with the show.
Right.
I hadn't met Tony actually until we did the Maisel program together. And, his work on that show was revelatory.
Yes.
Especially from someone who read that script.
Yeah.
When no one knew what that was.
Right.
He figured out not just the combination to open the safe. It was bonkers.
He breathed life into the character.
Turned it into a clinic.
Right.
Quite honestly.
He won some Emmys on that, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he won
several.
couple Emmys.
Oh, no, he did.
Yeah.
He did. Because they're on display in his home.
Is he part of the poker game?
No, he's in New York.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's a piker like you. He wants to play in my game, but he doesn't really want to part with money.
Right. Well, your game, and we've talked about this. I mean, my game is a $40 buy-in.
Right. And listen, it's all relative. I'm not poo-pooing anyone's buy-in in any way, shape, or form. I'm really not. Because I get invited to games that are much bigger than mine. And instantly, if the game's only fun if you're comfortable. Yeah,
but you came in the top 200 of the World Series of Poker one year. You won $56,000.
These are numbers and it's not a competition, Greg.
I mean, what game would you not win in if you're that good? You were the host of the World Series of Poker. At one point.
No. It's a celebrity poker showdown.
Yeah.
No, so I guess of known film actors, I mean, I could narrow it down even further. I probably went further than anyone.
Ben Affleck?
Oh, yeah. No, Ben is a really good player when, he's not power drinking.
Right.
He's a really good player. He won the L.A. Classic, I want to say. There's some big tournament now at Commerce that he won. And I played with him. He's very, very good, but I don't think he plays regularly anymore. But he certainly didn't have a run in the WSOP main event that we're talking about.
I know he's been banned from casinos.
I don't know what that's about, so I can't comment. Unless you'd like to. Can I tell you about
you know how rare it is that I have a guest that says I can't comment? You are a restrained professional. Many people say things that they
you have an
later.
audience.
Yeah.
If you had 11 people listening, I'd say whatever I felt.
Right.
Speaking of which, can I tell you about the first Easter dinner I went to?
Oh yeah, we're back to Easter.
As a
Jew.
I'm a California Reform Jew, which is basically Catholic.
Yeah. Oh, is that
it's
right?
It's so Reform. It's so non-strict.
Now, what's the difference between guilt and shame in terms of Jewish and Catholic?
Well, I don't know much about Catholics other than I've had 2 long relationships with women.
Okay.
20 and the current one going on 18. And they're both Catholic. Neither one too seriously. So I don't know much about the religion itself until I talk to a Catholic comedian such as yourself.
Right.
And then I hear all about it.
Well, I married a Jew, so we discuss it, and it seems like the Jews have guilt and the Catholics have shame.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
That sounds right. So on the first one, when we first started dating, and I went to my first Easter dinner with her family.
Which is
of
where?
Catholics in the South.
Oh.
Sure. Tennessee. And the 11-year-old niece, during the course of the Easter supper, found out that there was a Jew at the table and asked me with the non-agenda and lack of guile of an 11-year-old.
Yeah.
Asked me if the Jews killed Christ. And I said, asked me specifically if I thought the Jews killed Christ.
That's a more loaded question.
And I said, well, again, no agenda, no guile. She's 11.
Sure.
So it wasn't loaded at all. It was pure curiosity.
Yeah.
Wanted to know more on the subject, is what it seemed like. I said, well, because I'm looking at nothing but adults other than her, who are now staring at me.
Wondering the same thing.
Yeah. And I said, well, no, of course not. I mean, maybe we sold the Romans the lumber at retail.
Maybe there was a little parade. There was an Easter parade, but that was,
Maybe we sold the Romans the lumber at retail. And then that developed into a little bit of research and some awareness and knowledge about the goings-on in that neck of the woods when Jesus was walking through the woods with his followers. First of all, it's common knowledge he was a Jew, but there was only Jews as far as the eye could see where he was raised.
Right.
100 miles in every direction.
Yep.
Just Jews.
Mm-hmm.
And some Italians, clearly. The Romans.
The Romans came in.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the rabbis of the time were the politicians. And there was a hippie in the woods with some followers talking about peace and love and forgiveness.
Yeah.
And so they turned to the Italians and said, we'd like something to happen to the hippie in the woods. Now, that was the first sort of...
if something should happen to the guy with the long hair, some people wouldn't notice.
Right. And maybe if it looks like one of them had something to do with it. But after going down that potentially funny avenue, I pulled back even further to a more of a worldview and realized what everyone knows who's studied the story from the scripture.
Yeah.
This was all God's plan.
I think I texted you that
yesterday. I texted you that. It's all God's plan. And then I said, so you're welcome.
Right. You simply were your agent of fate.
Doing their part.
Right.
It was all God's plan.
Yes.
Both sides, every side.
Uh-huh. He sent his son down.
Yep.
To be...
Die for y'all's sins.
Martyred.
Uh-huh.
Right. Like a sponge. Just clean it all up. Take the sins.
Yeah. So I wish I had that in the chamber when the 11
That would have been great.
When the 11-year-old Bailey Jane asked me if I thought that Jesus killed Christ. If I could have said, well, it was God's plan.
Right.
You're welcome.
Well, as a Catholic, I'll tell you, here's what was fresh in her mind.
Yeah.
We have Ash Wednesday, which begins Lent. So we have 40 days where we are withholding from something. It doesn't matter what. You gotta not do something for 40 days.
And those 40 days represent
Lent
in some sort of Catholic history or some sort of...
I believe it was Jesus wandered in the wilderness for that time. Was that
believe?
Right? I believe it was either
I'm just
Moses,
saying 40 days. Moses was 40 years.
Okay, so Jesus was 40 days. They liked 40. It was
they
a
really
big,
do.
Very numerical book.
I think the rains for Noah were also 40 days and 40 nights.
40 days and nights, not just the days.
Not just the
days.
It rained all night as well?
Yes.
I mean, if you're going to fill up a planet.
A planet you really need to go 24/7.
You got to commit.
Yeah. And so...
We watched the Moses yesterday. We watched the 10 Commandments. It's an annual tradition.
Get out of here.
4.5 hours.
No way.
4:40 with commercials.
Is that Charlton Heston?
It is.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Damn.
Which, by the way, weirdly entertaining in terms of how absolutely dry this material is.
Yes.
On paper.
Yeah. It was made by the Catholics, right?
Cecil B. DeMille.
That's not Catholic.
DeMille?
Yeah.
Troubles you?
Yeah.
Where do you put his people?
No, that's Italian, right? DeMille?
Which tend to be Catholic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very dry material, and there's so much going on, and it covers an absolute endless history of the telling, and they keep it entertaining, and it has a good pace.
Right. Is it campy to you?
Well, you have to take all of that into consideration of the time of when these things were made.
Right.
It's like looking at a silent movie and saying, boy, the performance is a little broad. It's because they're not speaking numbnuts.
Yes.
So you gotta sell.
Yeah.
There's some arch behavior and performances.
So going back to this young girl, she's now given up candy, or she's given up
going into this meal.
Yeah.
She had the 40 days.
She suffered, and now on Good Friday, which is 2 days before Easter, you go into church and you literally act out the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. And
when you say you mean it's act out on the stage in front of you, or
the people sitting in the pews, the
are
parishioners
acting out?
You are given a script, and the priest narrates.
What are you talking about?
And he pretends that he is the administrator for the trial of Jesus Christ. And up on the stage is Barabbas, who was a convicted something.
Uh-huh.
He's also on a cross.
Sure.
Now, there were multiple, as you saw in the Ten Commandments, there were multiple crosses up with Jesus. He wasn't the only, they called them zealots back then.
Sure.
And so the zealots were the ones that the Romans were going after, and so they hung them up on crosses, and they call out to the crowd, which you're in, do you want Barabbas to be freed? Because one person gets freed. Barabbas or Jesus Christ? And you have to yell, Barabbas! Free Barabbas! You have
to yell that.
Yeah, you're 7 years old, you're 11 years old.
And is it in a script in front of you?
It's in a script in front of you. And then they say, and what should we do with Jesus? And you have to yell, crucify him, as you're looking at crosses with Jesus everywhere.
And you don't think this was just your church that you grew up in?
No, this was
You've talked to others since.
I would imagine it happened in all churches. You're thinking that I had some kind of a weird congregation.
Well, I'm not thinking more than I am remembering that no other Catholic has ever mentioned this particular performance on Easter Sunday Mass.
Yeah.
Ever. No one.
You want me to call my mother right now?
Feel like that would be slightly biased. I think we need
true.
to go outside your family and your church.
I don't know other Catholics.
Weird. You've distanced yourself from the tribe, have you?
I
Pretty
mean,
much?
no, I think that. Let me call Mary Fitzgerald. I know that
Just the Fitz. ...
Yeah, let's keep it with that.
Uh-huh.
Mary is a Boston. She's Boston Irish and Irish Catholic. Her father he worked for Whitey Bulger. He was a bookie in South Boston. He spent a lot of her childhood in jail, but her mother used to take her to church. She'll say hotline when she answers because when we call each other, we must pick up.
Wow.
It's a hotline.
Hotline.
Hotline. Listen, you're on the podcast right now.
What?
You're on my podcast right now. I'm interviewing the great Kevin Pollak. Do you know Kevin Pollak?
Yeah.
Okay, he's here.
Okay.
He,
Hi,
as somebody from a Jewish background, is unfamiliar with the Good Friday proceedings in the church and casting doubt on how it was done in my church. Do you remember going to church on Good Friday?
I do. Really, really foggily, though.
Do you
You're
remember acting out the scene of the crucifixion?
I do remember that.
Do you remember?
Yeah.
Do you remember having to yell, "Crucify him! Crucify him"?
No. I don't.
Having a choice between Barabbas and Jesus, and the congregation has to choose free Barabbas, and while you're at it, kill Christ.
While you're at it.
Oh yeah, while you're at it.
Yeah, while you're at it. Listen, we're already here. We're already gathered.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said though, like we went more on Easter to please the grandparents.
Right.
So,
Okay. So it was more of a
yeah, 'cause,
joyous week for you than a
I mean, I always say that we were holiday
murderous
Catholics.
holiday Catholic. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like, let's shut Nana and Papa up
Yeah.
and put on a dress and go. So Good Friday was because my parents were not believers.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm not
All
the
right.
greatest Mick to bother about this.
Well, thanks for coming over for Easter dinner last night. Anyway, it was
Oh
good
my
to see
God, it
you.
was so great.
Did you go to the gay bar with Tom afterwards?
No, I wish I couldn't convince him.
No.
Yeah.
That's usually
Yeah,
not hard.
because it's not gay enough for him.
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay.
But go and enjoy.
All right,
I'm sorry
Fitzy.
I can't be more helpful. Okay.
No, that you got me halfway there anyway.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right. See ya. Bye.
Well, I think you got me.
Well, wasn't a gotcha moment. I'm sorry it came across that way.
Well,
I think it just makes sense on paper that every church is going to do things their own way.
yes, there are differences, and what really gets me is when you go to church. I don't know. You grew up Reformed Jewish.
Again, just the most relaxed. It was more of a social gathering at temple than it was a religious one.
And did you go every Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, I was bar mitzvahed, which means during the week I went 3 times a week.
Wow.
But even that was just to memorize a passage
Yeah.
that you would eventually do.
Kind of rote, right? Did you understand the words? Or were you
No,
doing
in
it
my
rote?
day, you learned from a LP. Later, you'd learn from a cassette, and then you learn from a DVD a CD, I imagine. Yeah. And even before me, I suppose people were reading and memorizing text.
Mm.
But, I was already a performer. So what mattered to me most is that I got 7 applause breaks during my speech, during my bar mitzvah.
In Hebrew?
No, you read from the Torah, the Hebrew
Yeah.
part, and then you do what's called the bar mitzvah speech.
You freestyle after that.
Yeah, well, I'm sure most people did. Mine was written and rewritten many, many times.
Really?
Well, I was going to perform in front of the congregation.
Wow. So
And
you're
I'm not
13
kidding.
at this point?
7 applause breaks.
No
Yes.
kidding. Was that
And
videotaped?
To the point, of course not, but to the point where during a few interviews over the years, the journalists who did the minimal amount of research would ask, is it true you opened your bar mitzvah speech with a funny thing happened on the way to the temple? Which I did not, but that was their way of getting me to talk.
Did you do an impression of the rabbi during your 7-minute speech?
At 13, I wasn't yet doing impressions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I was...
More like hard punchlines?
Yeah, I mean, I had already been watching The Tonight Show and memorizing comedians and collecting them like my friends collected baseball cards.
Right.
And so
right.
it was more about writing my idea of jokes, none of which I remember because, again, I was 13.
Who was the first comedian to kind of mentor you?
Well, because they hadn't put in the liner notes of his comedy album, will go on to become the most prolific serial rapist in history as a comedian. Bill Cosby's first albums were to the point where I memorized the Noah and the Ark routine. I'm pretty sure we discussed this on your show here.
No, I meant mentor, like took you under their wing. Oh, was there somebody
in real life?
Yeah, was there somebody like you started in San Francisco?
Yeah, so I was born in San Francisco,
Will Durst,
but then raised. Will's a little younger than me, actually.
Oh.
And then raised down in San Jose, an hour south.
Yeah.
So when I started doing stand-up professionally at 17, 18 years old, it was in San Jose. And the San Francisco scene was this Valhalla, an hour north.
Right.
So I eventually worked my way there when I was 20, I think, 19, 20. And then it was Marty Cohen.
Sure.
Party Hardy Marty on the Solid Gold television program.
Yeah.
But as a pure stand-up monologist, he was... He was very slick, of course, but he had great jokes. Like he wanted to see a Jewish superhero, Superman.
That's good.
Able to lease a tall building in a single call. Yeah.
Yeah.
Marty Cohen. So, and I remember I was 20 and I got off stage and he came up to me afterwards and said, when your material catches up with your stage presence, you're going to be something.
That's amazing.
Which I even then was able to take as a compliment, even though I thought my material was good.
Yeah.
It was, of course, not good at all.
And then, so in the San Francisco scene at that time, was that like Dana Carvey?
Yeah, so Dana was a year or two older than me, but so Robin was there back and forth doing Mork and Mindy.
Yeah.
But he had started there as a stand-up. Like a year or two before me.
Right.
Maybe 3.
Yeah.
But pretty close. So he was constantly there and a great mentor and friend and supporter of every comedian at the time.
Wow.
Yeah. He did a really funny bit in my last HBO special. Also 30 years ago. So yeah, but that scene was pretty potent. So I moved there when I was 21.
Right.
And started, full-time, the serious nature of one's career.
Yeah, I think San Francisco seems like a place that has kept its character over the years. It's still a place that has kind of a liberal slant, but it also, everybody talks about it being PC. I go up there, I do my most, outrageous stuff that I do anywhere else, and I find that they always embrace it. I think that's kind of a misnomer.
Yes. Well, also, when I was 10 was the birth of the Hippies scene in San Francisco.
Okay.
And my dad loaded us into his Volkswagen Bug. And he said, get in the car. We're driving to San Francisco to see the Hippies. My brother and I, 10 and 12, didn't really know what he was talking about.
Yeah.
And he treated it kind of like an African safari. And pointing and judging.
Yeah.
And I wish I had the wherewithal at 10 to say, Dad, can we put a pin in the judging thing for a moment and first talk about us driving here in Hitler's people's car? Can we step back a little bit from the Coliseum?
That's amazing.
Yeah, I wish I had the wherewithal then.
Yeah,
I did not. Yeah. I was captivated, mesmerized, curious.
Did you ever become part of that scene as you got older?
Well, by the time I was old enough, I grew up in it.
Yeah.
Because we had cousins that were closer to the city, the Zuckers, and where I did my first performance on their white painted out brick fireplace. Because my mother caught me standing in front of the 7-foot wide stereo. I told the story on your show. Lip syncing the Noah and the Ark Cosby thing.
Right.
And said, that's it. You're doing it for the Zuckers that passed over. That was her first comment.
Yeah.
By the way. So she booked me at my first gig and also was instantly supportive.
Yeah.
Which none of that was clear to me at the time. So anyways, the Zuckers lived very close to the city. And they were 5 to 7 years older.
Uh-huh.
So they were already into the hippie scene. So every summer when we would go and stay there for a month or whatever, we were indoctrinated into,
That's so cool.
It was unbelievably cool.
Yeah.
To have hippies in the house.
Right.
Not just at Haight-Ashbury.
Right.
Where the African safari. But I mean, it was bumper to bumper traffic. I mean, people were clearly, we weren't the only ones who had lined up to see the scene.
Uh-huh.
That was as pure and organic and without political agenda.
Right.
At the time.
Yeah, and then it seems like drugs were used as a way of expanding the mind early on before they became like just an all-out party. It seems like there was like very serious exploration going on.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Timothy Leary.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, yes, and also then soon thereafter finding out this rich history of stand-up in San Francisco.
Right.
From back in the 60s with Lenny Bruce and Woody Allen. And,
right. Dick Gregory, was he part of that?
Jonathan Winters. So many were performing at the Hungry Eye.
Was Joan Rivers was part of that as well?
I feel like she was New York. Maybe she made it out west.
Okay, yeah, I feel like she was there sometimes too.
Yeah, I mean, the guys, most of the people I mentioned, Woody Allen and Lenny were certainly New Yorkers.
Yeah. Yeah, and Woody Allen, did you memorize those albums as well?
The double album from 1970?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. About the
Shot
moose.
a moose.
Yeah.
Upstate New York. Strapped into my bumper. And then goes to the party with the moose. Yeah, the whole thing. Is fantastic.
The moose mingled.
Mingled, did well.
Scored. And the joke was on them because in the end, what is it?
Well, there was a couple dressed as a moose at the party.
Right. Yeah.
I forget their name.
Yeah.
The Rosenblatts or whatever.
Yeah.
At one point, I remember the Rosenblatts and the moose were locked in horns in the foyer. Yeah. Yeah, so those comedy albums were certainly my college.
Yeah.
For sure.
It is amazing when you think about Woody Allen and Bob Newhart as guys at that time that were doing comedy that absolutely stands the test of time, and yet they were not seasoned vets when they were doing it. They were very cerebral. They were almost the opposite of you. Their material hadn't caught up to their persona on stage.
They didn't have a stage persona.
Yeah.
They were reciting jokes. In fact, Newhart's case, his album was recorded before he'd performed live anywhere.
Oh, that was his first show live?
Well, no. It was recorded in a radio station.
No kidding.
Absolutely. And
the Button Down Bob Newhart album?
Yeah.
That won a Grammy.
Yep. Yeah. Either all of it or parts of it were recorded at the radio station where he, I think, sold advertising.
Yeah. Right. I know he sold advertising.
Yeah. He had not performed. This is what I was told.
Yeah.
Apparently there's a thing called the internet. These things can be looked up. But anywho, so yeah, I mean, following that rich history was important.
Did you go to the Hungry Eye at all?
Well, it was a old timey strip club soon thereafter.
Yeah.
I mean, just instantly that.
Right.
I think last time I was here, I ran by some ideas. I'm allegedly performing tomorrow night. Nobody sees this right away, right?
This comes out in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You're plugging a show that will have happened 2 weeks ago?
Yep. Well, there's no reason to plug it. But I am performing tomorrow night, and I've done so little stand-up lately that I started writing things down again.
Okay. Where's... these are new bits. Okay, good.
Well, they're ideas.
Yes. No, last time you had some great ideas. I'm trying to remember what they were.
Oh, everyone who's in a conversation and chimes in involuntarily, it seems to me, with yeah. Stop it. This isn't an answer to anything, nor is it a comment, nor dare I insist, is it answering in the affirmative, which the word yeah is meant to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just not paying attention, or you want this to move on?
Right.
You want to... Yeah. It's become a thing. It's become an absolute problem for me. Here's another...
I like that. It reminds me of Colin Quinn talks about when New Yorkers They don't really ask you how you're doing. They kind of tell you, how you doing? You doing good?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like that. You're moving it along. There's no space being allowed here.
Yeah. And even in the inception of it being meant to be agreeing with the person or letting them know, yes, I've heard that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Then it becomes a little dismissive.
Yeah.
This thing you're saying? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Here's another one to absolutely never, ever do when you have people over for dinner. Never, ever get everyone's attention and say, okay, let's go around and everyone tell their when I had COVID story. I've just realized that everyone's story of having COVID deserves a yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I think the idea of bringing up COVID, and I'm helping somebody with their 1 hour special right now, and they're opening with 10 minutes about COVID, and I said, nobody wants to hear about COVID. Not in dinner conversation, not on a stand-up stage. It happened, and we are going to deal with the trauma someday. But right now, we need to just kind of do other stuff.
Also, to hear your COVID experience is ill-advised.
Well, if you're from New York, there's also the 9/11 story. Everybody's got the 9/11 story.
For sure.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Please. It goes back to my people still say they remember where they were on Good Friday. Which, by the way, we might have named. Because it was not a bad Friday.
It was a bad Friday for us.
It's not a bad Friday. Again, by the way, God's plan, you're welcome. Why do we grow tiresome with certain common terms, words, and phrases? Example, what the hell is so wrong with saying, hey, it's been a while since I've seen you? Nothing, right? So why must I now reply to a been a minute?
The old one, you like the 2.0. You like the old one.
Been a minute has replaced several overused pronouncements, most depicting a disturbingly longer passage of time. Haven't seen you in forever. Or its melodramatic cousin, it's been an eternity.
Yeah.
How about this one? 40 years ago, it was not uncommon to hear someone say, haven't seen you in a tit.
I never heard that.
A tit, where I grew up, was a measure of time.
Nice.
Yeah. Tits was occasionally the highest compliment that one fella could offer another regarding his new car. Hey, have you seen Larry's new car? No? It's tits.
It's tits.
Right?
Yeah.
That you remember.
Yeah. Once
commonly said the tits, you knew what a person meant when they insisted something was the tits.
Yeah.
Let's see.
It is the universally appreciated body part. There is no other body part that has gotten that much attention.
Yep.
All advertising is cleavage. All Roman statues, cave drawings.
Yeah. And it just comes from nursing with your mother.
Yeah.
And wanting that comfort forevermore.
Yes. Which is what my wife does now. She's a doula, and she's a postnatal doula. So she swoops in, and there's actually a rubber breast on our nightstand.
I'll say.
That she... and one on the other nightstand. She's been around a while.
Okay, this one is Pacino. I find if you want things done correctly, or a certain way, you got to do it yourself. That's why, for example, I've never owned a Roomba. And that is because I just love hearing Pacino say Roomba.
A Roomba.
A Roomba. Let's see. Can someone help me with Instagram? I can't. No, it's just, I don't understand how, it's simple for you. Sure. I don't need any of it. I just can't stop buying shit on Instagram.
Really?
I get constantly, the ad comes up.
Yeah.
And it's slightly interesting.
Yeah.
That I drill down and I've purchased. I mean, I'm going to ask the audience, how many people here have purchased shit you simply did not either know about or need ultimately from Instagram? You may not be one of them, but I'm not alone in this.
I am fascinated because to me, you don't seem like a buyer from social media. You seem a little bit more.
No, well, I haven't before. This is a fairly new development.
Yeah.
I would say the last year. And it's things like these little lights for the steps in the a garden or whatever in the front yard.
So now that you've bought something, they're going to really barrage you with ads.
It hasn't stopped. It's gotten much worse. It's gotten much worse.
Yeah.
In fact, I need someone to create a little recording where when I tap on one of those, shop now or swipe, it's like Richard Kind's voice saying, no, no. That would be helpful.
No, no.
No, no. George. Sometimes when you're with Richard Kind, he'll just say George Clooney's name for no reason. George. Is that all I have for you today? That seems like a very short list.
You want to hear mine?
Yeah.
All right, here's my list of new stuff that I've written down but have not yet done on stage.
Ooh, nice.
Okay. This is under the file newer jokes because there was already a new jokes.
Yeah, I feel I had that.
Love.
This is the best part for the viewers, I'm guessing.
Well, you know, there's a show that's called
where you just watch people do this?
Yes. Actually,
well, there's a British show where you watch people watch television.
Is that true?
It is true. I don't know the name of it. I'm shocked it hasn't taken over here in these formerly United
And there's probably
States.
a podcast about the show about people watching television.
Uh-huh.
There's a show called Love Island. Are you familiar with Love Island? It's actually a British show
Fuck
as
Island,
well.
but yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also a show called Love on the Spectrum, which is people with intellectual disabilities.
Mm-hmm.
And I often don't know until about 12 minutes in.
Which one
is
you're
British.
watching?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. That's a great joke. When I get in my car and I punch in my destination
Yeah.
and an estimated time of arrival appears, I take that as a personal affront from my car.
Because
it's not just a challenge.
Oh, I see.
Because I always beat it.
Yeah.
And it becomes a problem.
Right.
How important it is for me to beat that ETA.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I take it as a personal affront.
Yep. And I think to myself,
you'll be there in 14 minutes. Fuck you.
Right.
What?
Yeah.
Are you not? How do you? I mean,
Especially
mine's live Google Maps, and they bought Waves.
Right.
So, do you not know that I can? I just.
Especially when they write "you" in capital letters. You will get there in 14 minutes.
You don't know me. That's what I say to my cars. GPS.
Greg would get there in 12. You will get there in 14 minutes. What about the people that are just starting meth now? Like, didn't you notice anything?
That's like my, I love that. I think the last time I was here, my new joke that I still haven't done on stage was, have serial killers also moved on to almond milk?
Yeah. I wonder if somebody's last meal before execution was vegan. There are two political parties. There is an annoying group and a group that overreacts to the annoying group.
Yes. Oh, I like that.
Yeah. And I was thinking about having a dog. Do you have a dog?
We're cat people.
Oh, all right. If you had a dog, it's fun to rename it because nobody knows your dog's name at a dog park. And so you can almost ingratiate yourself with different people. The
dog responds to your pitch of your voice anyways, not really its name.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you're say you're a single man and you want to meet a woman and she's got on like
you wrote this joke for single men?
Yes.
Okay. So you're a giver. This is not just about you getting.
Most of my audience are single men. Incels, I think they call them.
Do they?
Yeah.
Other single men call them that?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And so you could go to the dog park and say you're talking to a woman who has like a tie-dye T-shirt and Birkenstocks. You say, "Come here, Jerry. Come here, Jerry."
Uh-huh.
Or maybe you're with
Birkenstocks. You're still dropping that as a shoe type.
What's the newer one?
I don't know,
What's
but
the
that
updated
seems
one?
like such a dated
It
reference.
seems really old. Yeah.
The chick was in tie-dye and Birkenstocks, huh? What am I? Queequeg the clown boy. Jeez.
What else has she got? Patchouli oil?
Yes, there you go.
And then you can have you talking to a black couple and you go, come here, Rosa Barks.
Oh, that's nice. Rosa Barks. Because you want them to know you also write puns.
Well, that you're not only open-minded to other races, but that you're so comfortable with it that you're actually clever.
Yeah. You're comfortable putting a hat on a hat in front of strangers.
That's right. What about when you go to Walgreens? Or most pharmacies will do this. You're online. There's a line of people in front of you listening as you're paying. And then the cashier goes, do you want to donate $1 to the juvenile diabetes?
Round up. If you want to round up your purchase to an even number, I think sometimes. But anyways, donate $1.
You want to round it up?
Yeah.
And you just look at him like,
no.
Now you've humiliated me. You've put How about this? I'm collecting money for widows of 9/11. Do you want to donate some money to me? You got a cash register. There's tons of money in there.
Right.
Seems to me like I should be the one asking for money from you.
I know that the person behind the counter was asking you to steal, though.
They've got money in their pocket.
In this similarity,
they work for Walgreens. They're getting paid.
Then double down and turn around and face the people in the crowd, in line, who are stink eyeing.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, jerks?
Yeah.
$1 each. Let's go. We're just here to help each other with new bits.
All right. My last one.
And then you're going to drive me home?
And then I'm going to drive you home. Last time you visited me, you drove me because you had, not the last time, many times ago, you had a Tesla when nobody had a Tesla.
That was 12 years ago.
But I mean, I think you literally knew somebody and got one.
Oh, to jump the line?
I think you did, didn't you?
No, the first one I waited forever.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know that's interesting about him. I don't know that they've ever created a shortcut on that thing, but it went from 13 months on the first one because I got it before the car was on the road.
Right.
I ordered one. And then it became 5 weeks, and then I'm on my 4th. Now it has the yoke. You seen the yoke?
What's the it's
no
like
longer,
a spaceship?
It's no longer a wheel.
Really?
It's a yoke.
Yeah.
Like in a F1.
So how do you do this?
Let people know you're gay? What is that?
This is how I drive. I put my wrist over there.
There's still a column.
You can put it on there?
That the yoke is attached to.
Yeah.
You could do that.
Okay.
Sure.
And if you're angry after an audition, you can still slam the top of the yoke?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
Well, I thought I would hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, nobody wants to hear this.
All right. Let's get to a thing called Who Tweeted. This was a segment on your show.
On Kevin Pollak's Chat Show.
Kevin Pollak Chat Show, you would often pick quotes from or tweets from celebrities.
Real tweets.
Females, mostly.
From either Demi Moore,
Paris Hilton,
or...
Demi Moore, Paris Hilton.
There was a third one. And then I would ask, I think usually Sam Levine was the alleged host of the game show. And he would stand at the edge of the round table.
Yeah.
And the guest and I would compete.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you to match up these tweets with their writers.
Okay. Because I remember, they're writers?
They're composers. They composed a tweet.
Okay.
Yeah. When I go, I want my casket to be driven through the New York City Pride Parade with a plaque that reads, I wasn't for everyone, but I was for us. Who can arrange? Okay. That's the first one.
Right. But I gave a multiple choice as to who wrote the tweet on the chat show.
Well, I'm going to give you each tweet, and then I'm going to tell you 3 names, and you're going to match them together.
Didn't understand your version of the game?
Well, you know,
please continue.
You know this is Fitzdog Radio, right? Not the chat show?
I didn't understand the setup.
Okay.
Yeah. I thought you were actually pulling something.
Wow, what a workout. Had to run up flights of stairs, and all I could think of were the brave firefighters climbing the Twin Towers on 9/11.
Oh, my God. Who is this douchebag? Holy shit. Holy shit.
Oh my God. It was in the steam room, and all I could think about was the Jews during the Holocaust.
Yeah, similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just heard there's an ICE checkpoint on Hollywood a few blocks from where I live. Everyone better give their housekeepers, nannies, and landscapers a ride home tonight.
Another detached personality.
Yeah.
Utterly.
Yeah. Okay, the names are Lena Dunham,
Oof.
Amber Heard,
Oy.
and Greg Sulkin.
Do I know who Greg Sulkin is?
I don't. I mean, look, I know in the chat show you use people that were recognizable.
I don't know where to begin. There are a billion famous people on X. You chose one you didn't know.
I think you'll understand why when you guess.
Well, I'll understand why. Okay, so Amber Heard, Lena Dunham. Lena Dunham would be the first one about the gay pride. Amber Heard would be... Oh, God. Oof.
Wow, what a workout. Had to run up flights of stairs, and all I could think of was the brave firefighters climbing the
Yeah,
Twin
that
Towers.
could be Amber Heard.
You, sir, were 1 for 3. Lena Dunham was the gay parade. A gentleman named Greg Sulkin was the 9/11 running up the stairs.
Mm-hmm.
And Amber Heard was drive your housekeepers and landscapers home.
Mm.
Just pile them all in the car.
Right. So, getting back to choosing someone that no one has heard of, how does that even happen with your game?
Well, I Googled stupid celebrity tweets.
Right.
And that one was so good, I couldn't not put it in.
But I now utterly appreciate how it made the list, the tweet, the actual tweet. Right. But, well, I don't need to control your show. But the purpose of the game.
Okay. In my defense.
In other words, I couldn't possibly know what this person would tweet.
Right.
That's the...
Right. But you get the other two, and that's a process of elimination, isn't it?
Sure. I just, yeah.
So,
sure.
Before you critique Fitzdog Radio, I went to Paris Hilton's Twitter account.
Oh, no.
It is literally all ads. This new purse from Breeze is absolutely hot. You got to buy. It's all she writes.
Yeah.
And also, to her credit, she speaks out about child abuse because I believe she was abused in a boarding school in high school.
All right, then. Wow. That's great that she speaks out.
Finally? Yeah.
Okay.
Did you want to go longer?
I mean, sure, we can finally. But it's your show. I don't feel like we've talked about nothing. Is that the show now?
Yeah, we can kind of talk about nothing. I mean, do you want me to go through, like,
no.
What was your childhood like? Or...
No. God, no. Please.
You don't like that on interviews?
The childhood?
Yeah, like, did you have a troubled childhood? Do you have, like, trauma?
Well, I don't like it only because mine is incredibly boring. Because we were a glass half filled family.
Right.
Yeah. It was middle class and everybody was not hiding anything.
Yeah.
And pretty uneventful.
Yeah.
To the point where it's boring and I can't remember most of it.
Yeah.
Because nothing happened.
Wow.
Like I'll watch an episode of a series that Jamie and I are watching. And it just happened last night. I said, I really like that episode. Something happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my memory of my childhood is very scattered because nothing happened. Like I remember I was asked or it was arranged. I don't feel I was forced, but maybe I was, to have a sit with someone who I later learned was a psychiatrist who, and I think I was about 8 or 9, who we played a game of chess and during which a few questions were asked.
Uh-huh.
But even that, I don't have any.
Wait, so your parents
don't know.
you into talking to a psychiatrist?
I don't know why this happened. I don't know. They're both gone, so I can't ask.
Yeah.
Once I had the memory come back, because there was nothing traumatic about it.
Right.
It was just once.
Yeah.
So it wasn't an ongoing thing.
Right.
It wasn't like, if you do this, we're going to send you to a thing.
Uh-huh.
I don't remember whether it was part of school.
Yeah.
And I remember my brother's 2 years older. And so not too long ago, I said to him, how much of our like childhood dinners do you remember? Just a family of four gathered around having dinner. Because I can't remember any of them other than mom's horrible fucking cooking. To the point where the point of vegetables did not exist in my house. They were to be boiled or taken from a can. And then boiled.
Right. We had that. My mother I thought it was an Irish thing, but my mother,
dear God,
she was not taught by her mother how to cook anything. And so, she was a very young mother.
Yeah.
And she started traveling around the country. My father was a radio announcer. So she went from living in her father's house in the Bronx to Youngstown, Ohio, with two boys that were 13 months apart. And a father who was working nonstop.
We are 13 months apart. Two boys.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
They call that Irish twins.
Yes, they do.
Yeah. So then off to Philadelphia, and no idea what she's doing. Boiling cans of things, taking meat out of the wrapper and putting it in the frying pan with not even salt, no seasoning whatsoever.
Right.
And then serving it. Sunday nights was gluck. She made a dish called gluck, which she figured out on her own. You take ground beef and you sprinkle it into a heavily buttered pan.
And wish the family luck.
And you wish the family luck with the gluck. And then you spread more butter on white Wonder Bread. And then you put the gluck on top of that. At which point the bread...
So kind of a sloppy Joe, but not really.
A sloppy Joe has a bun that can handle some slop.
Certainly does.
Wonder Bread says... You win.
You're on your own.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, we had a similar thing where there was no... so consequently, the dinners were nothing really eventful or interesting.
Yeah.
Or, just... And raised by TV for sure.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So, Andy Griffith Show?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In fact, the only transition I remember that was awkward was... You just had a lot of TV until the day you were told, now you have to go to kindergarten.
Uh-huh.
There's a school, there's a place.
Right.
You will now enter school. And sorry, today's not going to be watching TV, just that all day. Maybe go outside for a little bit.
Uh-huh.
And not enjoying that at all.
Right.
At all.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, what is the point of this?
But no friends? You weren't like playing...
Oh, yeah, absolutely. In the street. The street where there was, of course...
The tough streets of San Jose.
There was a walnut orchard at the end of the street when I grew up in San Jose.
Walnut Grove.
I would...
no, that's up by San Francisco.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, so there was definitely kids playing, and be sure when the street lights come on, come into the house, sort of thing. But on your own, walking to school, riding your bike to school, all that stuff. But I would just prefer to be in front of the TV watching Andy Mayberry and all those shows. Dragnet freaked me out.
Yep.
And when the hippies smoked pot and were up on the roof.
That's right.
I remember that episode.
I remember when he's talking to them and he gives them a hard talk.
Yes. Is that how you want to spend your life? You want to grow up and be that? Yeah.
Yeah.
So... Yeah, but so very uneventful and very...
Was there ever... When's the first time you experienced anti-Semitism?
Didn't.
Like as a kid, no kids ever said anything?
No, because, again, we were so reform. We weren't in anyone's face about it.
Right.
To the point where no one on the block was Jewish. So when we were 4 and 6 or 3 and 5 and Christmas comes around, my parents were like, I'm not fucking telling the kids there's no Christmas here.
Yeah.
And are you going to tell the kids that?
Right.
And we had a tree.
Uh-huh.
And we had Christmas.
That is reform.
We also lit candles at the menorah.
Uh-huh.
And the Passover Seder was at one of the cousins' house.
Yeah.
Never at our house. We never had a family Seder.
Yeah.
And it's all on a need to care basis for me for decades.
Yeah.
I haven't been to a Seder. I like This is the strangest thing. I light the menorah every year. I make a point of it. It bothers me if I can't be home when it's time to light the candles.
Yeah.
But that's it. And I don't know why that still means something when nothing else means anything.
Right.
I'm not a big fan of organized religion in any way, shape, or form. I don't trust it as an institution.
Right. Isn't it interesting though how much good? I mean, I'm no longer a practicing Catholic.
Yeah.
But my mother, who spent years volunteering at a women's prison. She worked at my school teaching English as a second language. There is a boots on the ground mentality about a lot of religions. And obviously, the Jews are very,
looking
altruistic.
after the neighborhood too.
Yes.
And the other great thing about is I'm not a big fan of the institution, but I am a fan of the creation of religion as a way to remove chaos and have order.
Right.
So I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah.
Anything make you happier than no clutter on the kitchen counter? Because there's very few things in life that make me happy.
Really?
Than losing the clutter.
Yeah. And what does that have to? Is that a metaphor for religion?
Well, in the sense of, I think religion
clears the table.
A great deal of it is about having order,
right,
and removing chaos. And I think one of the things that slowly drives me insane over the last 10 years is the erosion of society.
Yes.
And us caring about each other.
Yes.
And the sense of, I'm just waiting for oncoming traffic, someone to just plow right into me.
Are you ready?
Because they don't care anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what, 15, I used to say 10 years ago, but now I think maybe it's 15 years ago. Have to pee in a stall. I don't know why, but people lining up behind me feels like too much pressure.
Uh-huh.
So I got to go in a stall to pee at a public urinal. And I'm waiting on the stall. Door opens up. Father and son walk out. Seat down. Pee on the seat. And I realize, all right, that's it. We're done. As a society,
that's the fall of the
that
Western
young
civilization.
father taught his son to pee on the seat.
Right.
Forget the people already peeing on the seat.
Yeah.
And I mentioned this to women, like, we've been peeing on the seat for centuries.
Uh-huh.
Because of the hovering and you don't want to sit down. But
and the instrument is not as precise.
There's no precision. And also you have to hover.
Yes.
But so men, as I was raised, you pick up that seat. If in fact you have to use the stall.
Do you use your foot or your hand to lift the
foot
seat?
always. I'm not touching anything.
Foot.
Not touching anything.
Nope. How wide of a straddle do you do on the urination?
You mean feet? How my own
your
personal feet?
How wide?
How far
they?
Apart?
Yeah.
Are they?
Yeah.
I think I'm okay on the straddle.
Mine are often almost in the stall next to me. I go so wide.
I'm more in, I think awareness issues. I don't want either person on either side to see my shoes.
Yeah.
Because then on the way out they're going to go, that was the guy that was in there farting.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. But the biggest laugh I ever got out of my son in my entire life is we flew to New York from L.A.
Uh-huh.
And I, as a good aerial citizen, held in my gas for 5.5 hours.
Don't know how you do it.
Get into the men's room.
Yep.
Urinate. And I let out
kablooey.
Probably a 16-second fart.
Uh-huh.
And he was about 9. And he doubled over. I had to help him out of the bathroom. He was laughing.
You've never done anything that funny to him.
No.
Ever.
No.
Before or since?
That's it. That was the peak. That was the end. I mean, it is the first laugh and the last laugh, the fart.
It is.
Babies giggle when they fart.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's involuntary.
Yes.
At this point, and I'm not sure why.
For you, it's involuntary?
To laugh.
Oh, right. I thought you meant the fart.
I think my comedy palate is so sophisticated.
Yeah.
Until somebody farts in a movie and I'm laughing, and it happened involuntary.
Right.
Right. So there's no. It is the one thing about laughter, right?
Yes.
When it's involuntary.
Yep. Who do you like now? What comics are you watching? Any specials you watched lately?
I don't know that I have my finger on the pulse.
Mm.
Don't think I do.
Yeah.
I don't think I do.
And where are you doing stand-up these days?
I'm not.
I thought you said you're going
I was asked to do somebody's thing.
Somebody's thing?
Well, there's a brewery and they've got literally how I started 45 years ago.
Yeah.
In a bar.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said yes. Oh, we went to see them perform, Jamie and I, out of support.
Uh-huh.
That's my better half, by the way. I realize I've said her name twice as if everyone knows. She was the head writer and one of the sidekicks on the chat show. Her and Sam Levine were sitting there.
And she has a background in comedy, doesn't she?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. I mean, she writes sketch. She's quite talented, but no ambition, which is why we're still together.
You know what I love about you? I know right where to find you.
Yeah. What was I saying?
You went out to see comedy?
Yeah, we went out to see a friend perform at this brewery, and it's a once-a-month thing. And it's fairly new that they're doing a show there. I think the venue has been doing shows. It's in the West Side.
So if I was producing a show, which I do benefits, I produce benefits.
That's when I perform every now and then.
You would come out and do that.
There's no worse audience than a Los Angeles audience.
They're the worst.
Yeah. So that's probably the reason I stopped. Like when I first moved here from San Francisco in my mid-20s, having risen to the top of that scene, which is very difficult, and got to here and had to start over. The Improv on Melrose was my home turf. Yeah. And only because comedians I'd opened up for, Leno, Seinfeld, Reiser, whoever, had said, when you come to L.A., I can get you stage time at the Improv. I think you're good enough, blah, blah, blah. And so that's why I gravitated there. And then that became my home turf. Yeah. And the moment I didn't need to do stand-up because I started doing movies, I stopped. Really? In L.A. Yeah. I would still do some stuff on the road. Yeah. To find out what actually is funny.
It's a difference of even if you drive to Irvine or you feel the difference immediately. Yeah. There's just people that are showing up with the agenda of laughing. Yes. Not to see somebody famous, not to be part of a cool scene. Yeah. And so many of the LA places have personalities. You go to people go, you want to do a show in Los Feliz? No. Not at all. Oh God. Like a bunch of kids with PBRs sitting there, like wearing work boots that are worn out. But they didn't wear them out. They bought them used from a store.
And only bought them because they look worn out.
Right. Yeah. Right. And I feel like I'm a million years old because I'm talking about my kids or prostates. And
that's the other question I had for you. Yeah. I'm so glad you mentioned that. If you have DirecTV, you'll know what I'm talking about. Or maybe some other kind of cable. Who books Larry King's prostate? I'd like to get on that. Have you gone around the dial and seen Larry King's prostate? Yeah. First of all, I got news for you. It's not great at this point. It can't be.
It's gone.
But who books that? Because I would love to.
All right, it's time for Fastballs with Fitz. Was this segment on the last time you did the show?
Possibly, sure. It's like 5 questions kind of thing, real quick.
Yeah. Have you ever saved somebody's life?
No, I balked at saving someone's life. And thankfully, someone else was there to do it.
Interesting.
Yeah. One of my most horrendous single moments in life.
Wow.
Middle of Cabo San Lucas waves. Have you ever tried to body surf in Cabo San Lucas?
It's tough.
You'll die.
Really?
They're 6-7 foot waves, and you should not be body surfing. Yeah. And no one told us that. So 4 or 5 of us went out. And it was one after another also. So I thought I was going to die. And the person 2 feet away was saying, help me. And I was instantly the thought was, I'm going to die. How can I help you? Yeah. And thankfully someone within that 5-second span of me being in my own panic grabbed this person and swam away with them. And I remember thinking also, but can you come back for me? Because, I mean, so when I say I balked at saving someone else, I didn't have an option. Yeah. As I saw it in that nanosecond, I really did believe I was the next person to yell help.
Right. You were a tow truck with 4 flat tires.
Yeah, I don't know how I survived. Yeah. But I certainly didn't help that person survive.
It is the scariest thing in the world when you are caught in waves.
Oh, fuck.
And you cannot breathe and your muscles are tired.
That's exactly it. Yeah, your body is shouting to your head, this is it, we're going down.
Yes.
Yep. Fuck you. Fuck you for getting us out here, and you know what? You're on your own. Yeah,
why do we fuck with water?
I don't know.
We crawled out of it safely, we evolved, and now we go, hey, I'm going to go back in there.
Well, I don't. I as a rule, don't. I have respect for the ocean. I think it's much more.
But you have a pool in your backyard.
Well,
You play with gravity and an inability to breathe on a regular basis.
I mean,
You challenge
it's
it.
mostly 4 feet deep.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
as long as I can stand, I think.
Do you go in there year round or just in the summer?
I would say previous to the last couple of years when the weather flipped on its axis,
Yeah.
it started in March
Mm-hmm.
and goes through till
Is it heated?
October. Can be, but
Yeah.
I don't. It's black bottom, so it kind of heats itself
Nice.
with the sun.
Okay.
Allegedly, I don't know. these
Yeah.
things.
Okay.
Yeah.
There are two types of people in the world.
Are we on question 1?
No, we finished that. You did not save somebody's life, so you're 0 for 1.
Okay. Did I? Now I'm trying. I just had that traumatic memory, but now
Can
let me
you
think
imagine?
if I actually ever did save someone's life. I feel like we were about to cross into traffic, and I did grab the back of somebody's
Oh.
jacket as a bus went by, but maybe I saw that in a movie. It wasn't me.
Did the bus have no brakes? And
No, it
Sandra
was-
Bullock was driving it.
It was, yeah, yes, yeah, yeah.
All right. There are two types of people in the world.
Uh-oh.
Go.
I finished that.
That's right. ...
Okay. Those who have acute awareness of their surroundings and 90% of the population.
Wow.
This drives Jamie and I insane
Yeah.
because we have an acute awareness of our surroundings
Yes.
at all times. And it's important to us.
Yes.
It's also similar or not too dissimilar, a cousin of you're either early or you're an asshole.
Yep.
Yeah. This late thing, a total disrespect to everyone.
Yes. And so crosswalks, there's two, like, according to you, there's the people that look up, see you, give a quick wave, double their pace. And there's the people that look at their phone.
On the
and
phone all the way
dawdle.
through the
They
crosswalk.
dawdle slowly.
It happened yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a impressive level of assholiness.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Mm.
That sort of thing. Okay. I feel I did better with 2 than 1.
You did good with that one. Have you ever not finished a set on stage?
Yeah. I was heckled so badly by a drunk in the front that I started laying into him.
This is in a comedy club?
This was in a comedy club 35 years ago, maybe more. He was just hammered, wouldn't stop. And finally, the normal versions and clubs in the bag of dismissing this heckler
Yeah.
weren't working because he was just too drunk.
Mm.
So I think I said something like, this is tougher than you think. You think you can do this. He got up out of his chair, came to the side of the stage, walked up the steps, and was coming at me. But he was 6'6", 280, and he was coming at me as if he wasn't going to take the opportunity to perform. He was going to kill me, physically destroy me.
And the bouncers are doing nothing.
It happened too quickly,
Yeah.
I think. And so I handed him the microphone and jumped down into his seat and started heckling him. But that was the only time.
That's amazing.
Yeah, but it was fight or flight.
Yeah, yeah.
It was not great improv.
Wow.
It was, this guy's he's gonna throw me from the stage. At least I'll fly into people.
Did he talk into the microphone?
Oh, sure. He was convinced he was hilarious.
Uh-huh.
And man, did he not do well.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's very
Surprised to no one. He was not prepared.
That's some martial arts shit you pulled.
Yeah, that one might have been the only time I saved somebody's life.
Yeah. All right.
To circle back to 1.
Finally, what is the hackiest bit you've ever done?
Oof. Hackiest.
Mm.
I know there are, well, it's probably the first 7 to 8 years of my act.
Yeah.
I don't remember any of it. It was just super hacky.
Yeah.
Because I didn't understand. I started out just doing impersonations where you didn't really have to write material. You just put them in any situation. And it's a parlor trick, the impersonation. If I can think of someone you like and I can recreate them in front of you, I will steal the affection you have for the actual person.
Got it.
I don't have to have any particular awareness of writing a joke.
It's like a cover band.
Truly.
Yeah.
But it's more freakish than a cover band.
Yeah.
Because people are looking at you and they're hearing Jack Nicholson.
Right.
Or Al Pacino, but they cannot believe this alien voice is coming out of this squat Jew on stage.
Yeah.
So
this is before you started writing good material to go with the character.
And then it became important to me to do like 30 minutes of when I realized a comedian was just their point of view.
Mm-hmm.
And once you have a point of view, then everything's material.
Yeah.
And so I didn't have a point of view because I didn't really have a personality on stage.
Yeah.
And then all as you can see from the alleged new material, it's all, I realize all my material now is what annoys the piss out of me.
Yes.
And I imagine that you've been doing this for decades.
Yeah, I think it's stuff that annoys me, and but I think with you it's very consistent because there is a levity to it that keeps it from becoming curmudgeonly.
Well,
you're amused by how annoying people are.
Right.
You're angry, but it's not the fucking blistering rant that you get from a lot of comics about stupidity now.
Right.
That is sort of the equity of comedy now, is how angry can you get at things that you go like, it's not really that bad.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, I directed a documentary, a Talking Heads documentary, nothing really impressive, but it's called Misery Loves Comedy. And the thesis was,
that was
you have
great.
to be miserable to be funny.
I saw it.
And from it, I learned, that every artist is articulating, whether you're a painter, a playwright, songwriter, you're articulating at some point some form of past misery.
Right.
Our job as artists is to articulate it in a way that is either universal, so the audience goes, oh yeah, so this anger thing we're talking about.
Yeah.
If you can find the levity and have the audience go, fucking me too, yeah.
Right.
Or so personal that the audience goes, oh, you poor fucker. Right. While they're laughing, because you have the audacity of sharing this debilitating personal thing.
Yeah.
And I learned that from doing that documentary. And I think it was Rob Brydon. Do you know who that is? Yeah. He's a British comedian. He and the famous partner, they do the Trip movie, Trip to Italy, Trip to...
Yeah.
And they both do the Michael Caine, the dueling Michael Caine.
Mm-hmm.
So he's the less famous of the two.
Okay.
What's the other one? He did the great TV series.
Ricky Gervais?
No, it's a little before Ricky. God damn it.
If only we had Google.
Or one of your staff of 27. The Trip movies. It's Rob Brydon and... This is so horrible for the audience who's listening or watching thing. I thought you both were comedians. You should know this. Steve Coogan.
Oh, Steve Coogan. Right.
Can't believe
he's confirming.
I can't believe I won that race. So those two, Rob Brydon is the other one of those two that do the Trip movies. And Rob Brydon said a version of what I just said, where either it's so personal that the audience.
Yeah.
And the other thing he said about bombing, because there was a chapter in Misery Loves Comedy that was just about bombing.
Yeah.
He has a practice that I'd never heard of before, which is, he says, the moment I start bombing, I slow down.
Mm-hmm.
And I really take my time. Because I want the audience to go, wait a second. This guy's not panicking.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was bombing. Is it me?
Yeah.
Do I not get what's happening?
Right.
He looks very comfortable
with
what's happening.
Uh-huh.
Because there's an instinct, talk about fight or flight.
Yeah.
When we're all bombing, that is not slow down.
Yeah.
And lean into it.
Yeah.
You mean, sometimes you might laugh at it because it's so absurd that the audience has decided as a group of strangers who did not come to rehearsal. What you just said is wholly unfunny.
Categorically, no reaction at all.
Yeah.
And then it becomes...
That's your favorite bit.
Right.
There's that problem.
Yeah, there's that. And then there's also just that, that they can come together and it becomes infectious. Now that most of them aren't laughing, you don't want to be the outlier who's laughing at this guy, except the back row, which is the other comedians.
That's right.
Who fucking love it.
Why do they love it so much when we're bombing? Because they've been there and they've survived.
You saw Kevin Meaney bomb, I'm sure, in your day, right?
I saw him mostly bomb.
Yeah.
Because he was definitely not doing jokes.
Mm-hmm.
He was definitely not. He was telling stories about his family and the big pant people, or big pant people. But it was a big performance. It was a big, boisterous performance that was not quite Andy Kaufman because it wasn't off-putting ever.
Right. It was kind of anti-comedy. And watching him bomb was a way of him saying what you guys are doing is so absurd. Like, I got, I didn't have a map. I didn't have a map in my car. I had a globe. Take it out of the glove compartment. No room for my gloves. I don't care. It's like just silliness.
Yes.
But completely committed to, which is why watching him bomb was so joyous.
Yes.
Because he didn't sweat. He just kept on going.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I realize also I've written very few jokes.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other thing. It was always sort of stories.
Yeah.
To the point where I'm overly proud of the few jokes that I wrote that I can remember.
Right.
Like raised in a Jewish home and had an uncle who was a faith healer. Of course, as a Jewish faith healer, he did things a little differently. He would heal people by comparing his illnesses to theirs. Oh, you sprained your ankle, huh? I have a growth on my colon the size of your face. How do you feel now, Mr. Ankle? And they would, person would walk right out.
Right, right. I love it. All right, listen, I'd love to promote your date, but you don't have one, as we know of right now, your stand-up dates.
Is this going to come out before April 19th?
Yes.
Okay, I'll be at a theater in Livermore, California.
Oh, nice.
The Bankhead?
Okay.
Maybe.
This is a...
This is a stand-up... The oddity, Bankhead Theater, Livermore, California.
I love it.
The oddity of my career, I don't know if we've talked about this, and I'm sorry to bring it up at the end, is that almost not a day goes by where someone, one or more people aren't stopping me as a member of the public to say, oh, hey, I like your work. So I'm a character actor who's constantly recognized.
Yeah.
I'll also be at the Roxy Theater in Rochester, Michigan.
Huh.
May 17th.
Oh, nice.
So the oddity of my stand-up career is I don't have a draw anywhere.
Uh-huh.
So these theater gigs, these folks are probably going to lose money. And right. I feel bad about it.
Yes.
It is weird how often I'm recognized. And in New York especially, which is weird.
Yeah.
Oh, probably. You know what? It's not weird. And Jamie and I finally realized the reason was because they're more boisterous about it. Everywhere else, people will recognize you, but they won't say anything.
Right.
In New York, they go, hey!
Yeah.
Weinberg!
Right.
Right? Weinberg. Whereas everywhere else, people who are with me will say, did you see those people walk past and turn around and immediately and they can't trying to figure out who you are? So yeah.
What do you attribute that to? Because
it is a very bizarre, because I didn't, much like the early podcasting, I didn't nurture the thing.
The social media,
I didn't, first of all, as I said, the moment that A Few Good Men happened in 92 and I started getting offers and started doing all these movies.
Yeah.
To the point where it was like 40 movies in the 90s.
Yeah.
I remember being at the end of the 90s, there was the millennium was changing. So there were all these top 10 lists.
All right.
And I ended up on a top 10 hardest working actors in Hollywood. The criteria of which was you had to have done at least 4 movies per year, every year of the 90s. It was like me and Sam Jackson and maybe one other person.
Uh-huh.
It was like ridiculous.
Yeah.
But again, 6 of these movies were good. I'm not listing my batting average like I'm somebody. So consequently, 92, when that started happening, by 93, I'm off the road, not doing stand-up, doing all these movies.
Right.
Not even knowing the death of stand-up comedy clubs was about to happen.
Oh, yeah, there was a crash in the 90s.
The crash was around 93, 94 is when it kind of began.
So you made an elegant dismount.
Did not know.
Right.
Nobody told me. So by the time I came back to it in 2000, 2001, and wanted to get out there again, I realized that almost a decade had gone by where I'd not nurtured an audience.
People didn't think of you as a comic anymore.
So when they announced me at the Bankhead Theater in Livermore, the people of Livermore were like, the actor from The Thing is coming to the theater? What's he going to do?
Yeah.
Scenes?
Yeah.
From a thing?
Yeah.
Is it a one-man theater thing? What is this? Where however people know you is how they know you.
Yep.
However they discover you is how they know me. So even though A Few Good Men came out around the same time as my second HBO stand-up special, the one that Robin Williams is in, called Stop with the Kicking, A Few Good Men was this juggernaut that was so huge, and that I was the only not famous person in the movie when it came out, that I was the only one that the audience could go, did you see the guy with the, he's good, right? So there's that thing. And then that kicked off all these offers where people were like, who was the guy in The Thing? So there was no nurturing of that stand-up. I didn't go out and promote the stand-up special by doing a tour, and it wasn't a thing. So when I came back to it, it was the actor who's playing at the theater. It was probably.
But now I got to think with Maisel. I mean, that
now
is
I can kill it doing a temple tour.
Oh, it's a very Jewish audience. Yeah. I think everybody enjoys that. Is it? You think it skews very Jewish?
Well, it skews all over the world. Like it's the #1 export from Hollywood, television-wise, to India, the country.
No kidding.
And I think it's the Bollywood similarity with the wardrobe and the music background, and also the family, the big family unit. So I do know that it had an international. It was global instantly. Yeah. Which was weird and bizarre because, as Tony Shalhoub said when they did the pilot, I came in episode 2. Well, I'm pretty sure the Jews of the Upper West Side of New York will watch this show. Yeah. And then, there was and then like a group of 3 22-year-old African-American young women will come up to Jamie and I at dinner and say, hey, Kevin, I really like him. So it kind of crossed all these, every walk of life, truly. Yeah. But I'm still the actor from The Thing. Right. And so if you list me at your theater, maybe I need to get it to the subscription fee of Center for the Performing Arts. Like if you saw me on the calendar. Yeah. I think Bob Dubek made that turn 25, 30 years ago. Right. He's just a part of the subscription of the Center for the Performing Arts of every town in the country. Yeah, I think it's really, an evening with, how about this idea? Okay. And I might, if you like it, think about it. I would love to write the show with you. Okay. It's called, well, I'd like to name it Al, Chris, and Jack. But to put butts in the seats, I should probably name it Pacino, Walken, and Nicholson. Yes. And it's 3 half hours made into 90 minutes of me just walking out on stage as each of them. And talking. Wardrobe change, but maybe nothing else. Uh-huh. And talking just as them about minutia of their lives. And it can be from real, like when I told this story about Jack Nicholson on A Few Good Men on the Rich Eisen show, on his show. Sports show. It popped up in everyone's Google feed and it got 4.5 million views in weeks, or so I'm told. Did you do the impression during it, or you just told the story? I did, but it was the sort of non-Nicholson story of it. Yeah. Let's see if I can have that sort of strength on the Fitzdog. So one of the absolute most bizarre, surreal moments in my history of acting in movies. While doing A Few Good Men, the world finds out that Magic Johnson is HIV positive.
Uh-huh.
And at the time, for the heterosexual community, this was a atom bomb.
Right.
It was always, prior to this exact moment, it was their problem, not ours in the heterosexual community. And there was a certain, of course, a body of the heterosexual community that had great empathy and did what they could. But it wasn't a problem for John or Jane Q. Public.
Yeah.
In terms of life threatening, the way it was in the gay community, where you just didn't know
right.
at any given moment in your pursuit of happiness if you were susceptible. So when Magic Johnson, this very high-profile family man, the story breaks, and so now I'm on a soundstage shooting the movie where there are 110 crew members, and everyone's walking around in zombie camp. Truly, no one knows what to do with this information, and it was a bizarre atom bomb that had gone off. Well, here on set, we have the Lakers authority in Jack Nicholson.
Right.
And slowly the other day, I see crew members going up to him and asking, what does this mean? How did this happen?
Yeah.
They're just looking for answers.
Right.
Because again, everyone's understanding of the world has been shattered.
This guy's healthy. He's in great shape.
He's playing basketball.
Right.
He's currently playing.
Yep.
And it just changed everything. And it's very difficult maybe for people to appreciate, because this is a 32-year-old story. Also his number. So later that afternoon, I'm released from set. I'm walking from set to my trailer, which is not a long walk. And I hear somebody mumbling behind me, and I turn around, and it's Jack. And he's talking to himself. And he's basically just saying, it's surreal. The whole fucking thing is surreal. And he gets to his trailer, and he puts his hand on the knob, and he sees me, and he turns back away from his trailer to me, and he says, you want to know surreal? And then I remember thinking, I'm sorry, Jack Nicholson, did you just ask me if I wanted to know what you think is surreal? I'm doing this picture, Chinatown. I'm sorry, Jack Nicholson, did you just start a story with, I'm doing this picture, Chinatown? And one day I'm rehearsing this scene with John Huston, who you have to understand was like a surrogate father to me. He meant more to me than my own family. I worshiped the ground he walked on. And we're rehearsing this scene between our two characters. And at one point during this rehearsal, I see over his shoulder, about 50 yards away, walking towards us, his daughter, Angelica, who, well, I had just started banging a couple of weeks before. And I'm realizing that I hadn't figured out a way to tell the old man, and I didn't want to tell him because I didn't want to break his heart. I didn't want him angry with me. I didn't want to upset him in any way, shape, or form. I would have killed her if he asked me to. That's how much this man meant to me. Anyways, I'm thinking all this in the middle of this rehearsal, and I come out of my own thoughts back into the scene at the exact moment that his character says to mine, Mr. Giddish, are you sleeping with my daughter? And with that, Nicholson spun and walked into his trailer. And I remember standing there in this parking lot at Culver Studios, looking around for a witness. Anybody else see that? What just... Jack Nicholson wanted to know And for years, I never told that story, other than a couple of friends.
Wow.
Never told it on
That's
stage,
amazing.
never told it publicly, because it was his story.
Yeah,
You
right.
know? This happened to him.
Yeah,
But then I realized him sharing it with me happened to me.
right.
And him telling me, him just choosing, clearly he needed to tell someone.
Yeah, yeah.
Clearly it was on his mind just in that moment.
Right,
He was walking to his trailer saying the words, it's surreal.
Yeah.
It's just surreal.
He had already started the story, and then he turned around and saw you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was probably running the first couple of beats
Right.
in his own thoughts.
Wow.
What else was surreal?
That's amazing.
Yeah. So that happened.
Kevin Pollak.
Great to see you.
Great to see you. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, the Bankhead in Livermore and the Roxy Theater in May in Rochester, Michigan.
And old episodes are no longer $1 if you want to go back and see the chat show.
Yeah.
With Kevin Pollak. It's on
And
YouTube.
if you have ideas, YouTube, yeah. If you have ideas how I can not expensively, because I own all of them. It's 400 episodes, averaging about 90 minutes plus. A lot of 2.5 hours.
And they're not online.
2 hours of Elon Musk in 2009,
Whoa.
prior to Elon becoming a Bond villain.
Damn.
And I feel like if I just put out 20-second pieces of just his talking head,
right,
as an example. But Tom Hanks going on 2 hours and 50 minutes.
Right.
You know, it's a,
so you need a good editor who can
there's
caption, clip.
I mean,
put on social media.
I feel there's money to be made.
I think, well, even if there's no money to be made, there's asses to be put in seats.
Just
in
to
theaters.
draw attention to something.
Yes. No, I think you're doing a disservice to the world by
I think
not
I need
putting
to
that
take
out.
it off YouTube.
Yeah.
And then figure this out.
Great
to see you.
Great story, Kevin.
Thank
You're
you.
the best.
Thanks
for coming on.
That's a big reach.
We'll see you next time on Fitzdog Radio.